In 2025, U.S. immigration policy is undergoing a profound transformation. Under President Donald Trump's second term, the immigration landscape has shifted significantly, marked by tougher enforcement, new legal barriers, and a forceful drive to redefine who is allowed to enter and remain in the country. For millions of immigrants, including students, workers, and even U.S.-born children of non-citizens, these changes are not just political headlines. They are deeply personal and life-altering. Let's begin with the current developments. In June 2025, the Trump administration initiated one of the most aggressive immigration crackdowns in recent U.S. history. The primary focus? Mass deportations. According to official mandates, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, has been directed to triple its daily arrest targets. The new benchmark is 3,000 arrests per day, an enormous jump from the previous average of around 1,000 under past administrations. This crackdown isn't limited to undocumented immigrants with serious criminal records. Individuals with minor offenses, such as traffic violations or overstayed visas from years ago, are now being detained and quickly funneled into removal proceedings. This intensification is backed by new legislation known as the Laken-Riley Act, passed earlier this year. The law mandates that any undocumented immigrant charged with a broad range of crimes, not just violent ones, must be detained. Furthermore, it empowers U.S. states to sue the federal government if they believe immigration laws are not being enforced adequately. This provision has already led to a surge of lawsuits and has increased pressure on federal agencies to ramp up arrests nationwide. What's even more concerning is where many of these detained individuals are now being sent. The Trump administration has announced plans to expand the migrant detention center at Guantanamo Bay. Yes, the same high-security facility once used for terrorism suspects is being prepared to hold up to 30,000 undocumented immigrants. The justification for this move lies in a national emergency declaration, signed earlier this year, Proclamation 10,886, which grants the federal government sweeping powers to use military bases and offshore sites to respond to what Trump calls an invasion at the southern border. In addition, Executive Orders 14,159 and 14,165 have been signed to prioritize the detention and swift removal of immigrants. These orders aim to accelerate deportation processes by bypassing lengthy court hearings. They give border agents and ICE officers the authority to detain and deport individuals at record speeds, often without access to legal representation or due process. And if you think these policies only impact undocumented immigrants, think again. International students and legal visa holders are also facing new obstacles. In a surprising move that has rocked the education sector, the U.S. has paused all new student visa interviews. Thousands of students, many accepted into American universities, some with scholarships, others who have already paid tuition, have been left stranded. For students from China, the situation is even more dire. Visas are being revoked, especially for those studying sensitive fields like artificial intelligence, data science, or biotechnology. The administration claims these actions are necessary to protect national security and intellectual property, but critics, including university officials and business leaders, warn that this approach is repelling the very talent that has long fueled American innovation. Influential tech investors like Reid Hoffman have publicly condemned these measures, arguing they jeopardize the country's leadership in science and technology. Yet, the administration shows no signs of reversing course. Instead, it appears determined to double down. Meanwhile, a quieter but equally impactful change has taken place: the termination of humanitarian parole programs. These programs had granted over 500,000 migrants from nations like Venezuela, Cuba, and Haiti the ability to live and work temporarily in the U.S. Many of these individuals fled poverty, violence, or political repression. However, in May 2025, the Supreme Court cleared the way for Trump to dismantle these protections, and he acted swiftly. With a single executive action, hundreds of thousands of migrants lost their legal status. Many had built stable lives in the U.S., holding jobs, paying taxes, and enrolling their children in school. Now, they are being told to leave or face detention and deportation. Simultaneously, the administration has introduced a new immigration pathway, but only for the wealthy. A proposed gold card immigration program would grant residency to any foreign investor contributing $5 million or more to approved American businesses. This is seen as a replacement for the older EB-5 investor visa but with fewer restrictions and faster processing times. Critics argue this amounts to immigration for sale, a green card for the rich, while the poor and vulnerable are being forced out. Refugees have not been spared either. In one of the most controversial moves of 2025, the Trump administration indefinitely suspended the U.S. refugee admissions program. Thousands of individuals who had already been vetted, approved, and were waiting to travel are now stranded in limbo. Many of them come from war-torn regions or are fleeing persecution, yet now face closed doors with no safe place to return. Even more shocking is the administration's challenge to birthright citizenship, a foundational principle of American identity. Through Executive Order 14,160, Trump is seeking to end automatic U.S. citizenship for children born on U.S. soil to non-citizen parents. This directly conflicts with the 14th Amendment, which guarantees citizenship to all persons born in the United States, regardless of their parents' status. Although federal courts have issued temporary injunctions, the administration has vowed to take the legal fight all the way to the Supreme Court. Legal scholars warn that if upheld, this order could redefine more than a century of constitutional precedent, potentially leaving millions of children stateless or in legal limbo. Adding to this, the administration is reportedly planning the creation of a new agency, the Office of Remigration. According to leaked documents, this office would coordinate mass deportations, including what it calls voluntary returns, a term many argue is simply a euphemism for forced removal. Critics also note that the term remigration is often associated with extremist European ideologies and has no place in American governance. Nevertheless, the plan is gaining momentum within the Trump administration. So, who is most vulnerable in 2025? While undocumented immigrants remain the primary targets, they are far from the only ones at risk. DACA recipients are once again facing legal uncertainty as the administration moves to dismantle the program entirely. International students, particularly those from China, Iran, and Russia, are being scrutinized and restricted. Refugees, asylum seekers, and those on humanitarian parole are all facing renewed threats of removal. Even legal immigrants awaiting green cards are dealing with longer wait times, increased denials, and unpredictable policy changes that cast doubt on their future in the U.S. If you or someone you care about belongs to one of these affected groups, here's what you can do: stay informed. U.S. immigration policy is evolving rapidly in 2025. Subscribe to legal updates, follow trusted news outlets, and remain aware of policy shifts that could impact your status. Seek professional legal advice. Consult an immigration attorney certified by your state's bar association. Avoid unlicensed consultants or online experts. One wrong form or misguided step could have devastating consequences. Keep your documents current. Make sure your visa, work permit, and travel documents are valid and renewed before expiration. Even minor legal issues, like a traffic ticket, could now result in arrest or deportation. Get involved. Support organizations advocating for immigrant rights, join peaceful protests, and make your voice heard. Public pressure can, and has, led to policy changes in the past. To conclude, the U.S. immigration system in 2025 is no longer stable or welcoming. What was once a symbol of opportunity has become a battleground of politics and power. For immigrants, the stakes have never been higher. Your future, your family's safety, and your legal standing may all depend on what unfolds in the coming months. This is not the time to remain silent or passive. This is the time to stay alert, stay prepared, and stay protected. The changes unfolding now are very real, and they are impacting lives every single day. Know your rights. Know the risks.